Da 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 da. Oh yo yo yo. Da 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 da. Oh yo 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 yo. Da 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 da. Oh yo 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 yo. Shkoyach. Welcome to all the guests. This is very, very important stuff to start off the week with. I was watching Shir today, Daf Chof Zayin, and you mentioned there were sweetbreads in Morocco. He said there were brains. This would be a huge misconception. They are thymus glands. We've been serving them for over 21 years, even though they are very popular. At least once a week, people come to this thinking they are brains. Harry Zinstein, CFO, Mike's Bistro in New York City.
Where are they from?
Oh, Mike's Bistro.
Where's it from, though? So where is it from?
I just said, thymus gland. It's a gland. By the neck or something.
So it's in the head. No, it's part of the
Pancreas, okay. Dear Rebelli, I'm a ninth grade. Aryeh, you're doing great. Let's continue. I am a ninth grade bacher from Muncie. On the first day of Menachas, I went into the van on the way to yeshiva, and the driver was playing the daf, and I got connected. I've learned the daf every day since then. I listen to the daf every day on Torah Anytime. One small action from the van driver caused me to learn 134 dafim so far. Attached is a song that I made up. Thank you. Menachem Jacobson, 14. Menachas daf Beis. Dear Eli Stefansky, first of all, I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate your work. Your Daf Yomi Shurim, the way you explain the Gemara in such clarity together with the pictures and visual aids, makes the learning so much more accessible, clear, and alive. I feel like if you go to, I don't know, like ChatGPT, like, that's the first, I heard exactly these words, like 100. I wanted to respectfully ask if it might be possible one day to create this type of shir in French as well. The same way it was done in Spanish. Baruch Hashem, they're already Rabbanim. So it's interesting, last night, right before I read this email, the guy who won the second place video, looking out of the window and seeing MDY and coming in here and there's a cow. So he went over to Benny and he said that he speaks French and he would like to do the whole thing, like say it, do the whole words and everything. Did Benny tell you this? Yeah. Oh, okay. So now we have competition. It's good. French competition is always good. But with your clarity style of teaching and visuals, no one is really doing it yet for French-speaking public. I truly believe there's a real need for this in the French community, and that could help many people connect more deeply to that. We have to get the lips work better, I think. So that's also an issue. In my opinion, it could be a tremendous zikr rabbin. Thank you again for everything you do. May Hashem give you the strength to continue spreading Torah to so many people with great respect. Sagrun Yosef from Paris. Official edition of Yushas, Masechta, Zevin Yal Sholof, Daf Lamed Aleph, Moses Markovich. This is the guy who, what's the word? He's, well, I don't know, the bank rolls, and he's behind the whole Spanish thing. Moses Markovich, for all the hatzlacha of all our children, Moshe Ruchi from Mexico. David Salomon dedicated memory of Avri Moiri, Reb Shmuel Baruch, Ben Reb Chaim Tzvi, Dov Zechron Levracha, the Palestine Common Foundation. Gratitude to the consortium and the alliance, and all they do to support MDY. Notice the C of consortium is capital. It's the real deal. Anonymous, Hatzlacha Baruchnis Uvegashmis, and thank you to Chief Benny. Anonymous, for a complete refuah Shleima and Arichas Yom Talei Bas Esther, B'Yom and Daniel Rosenfeld, Brios V'Simcha. Ari Simon is monthly sponsor of refuah Shleima. Avri Moiri, Baruch Ben Miriam. B'Yom and Daniel Rosenfeld, Parnas B'Shefa. Anonymous refuah Shleima, Rabbi Yerucham ben Yehudis and Avram Yishaya ben Slava Dvora. Amen. Maybe they should put the Avram on the next line. The Spanish share sponsors wishing the MDY family continue that sloch and siyat d'shmaya. Anonymous, Hoy Hashem ki tov, ki lo yom chazlo. By Robert Early, whoever heard that Gevaldiki. I didn't know who you are, Robert, back then. I mean, when you wrote that anonymous email, I didn't, and I called you out on it.
I'm saying it was anonymous.
And you didn't like say, hey, that was me, stop.
Nah. That's what anonymous is.
Oh, that's what anonymous is.
You had to hear his email. Those who heard it last night heard it. It was Givaldic email. Preston, you're gonna. If you heard it, you would say, "Send it to me." Preston Harris Group. It's like you said. There's a lot of stories, many stories. Most of my stories you can't publish. He says there's brachas from Rebelli, but there's also klalas. And he wrote an anonymous email saying that he recruits people, this, that, but he gives his money to other places. He doesn't give to MDY. He said, I called him out on it. And I said that it's ungrateful. And it was the Hakar Satayv. If you learn from MDY, you say this is a source of this, so why don't you give back? He says from that day on, his business went tanked. He lost all his clients, everything. And now he got a major client. So he's doing tshuva. The Rambam says that when a situation happens, you do the opposite. And he's giving. He gave a whole week. He's sponsoring, and he recommends that everybody do the same.
Just in case.
But how long ago was that email?
9 months.
It was like 2 years ago?
It was a few years ago. It was that one particular client. It was a few years ago, and I was a great client. I was paying Baruch Hashem a lot of money from it. And as soon as you
Open my mouth. The filter.
put me out, that particular client, everything went wrong.
And now it's not changed.
Do you want that email now? Yes or no? It's one of these. I don't think so. President Harris Group recruit making money from the shear. Give back to the shear. It's not. I'm gonna not only make money from the shear, make money. Give back to the shear. Anonymous, in memory of Nisim Tawil, who helped save the Mir and Reb Aaron Kotler. In memory of Nisim Tawil.
And he helped save Aaron.
That he did not.
No, it's not, he didn't help save Aaron, right? It's Aaron separate, right?
It says save the Mir and Reb Aaron Kotler. Anonymous, David Ben Esther Miriam Lefur Shlema V'Toisishus Mihira Amen. Daily sponsor of the consortium. We're retaining Michael Chessel as our intellectual property attorney, and we'll be issuing a cease and desist demand. We pledge the damages will be awarded. We will be awarded. We'll go to MDY. Very good, very good. The HYK Ventures in the month. In the schos. What's going on, Tzaddik? In the schos for success of all our clients. Beyond Daniel Rosenfeld, Bracha Beparnasa, NDY Kids, Kinnovations LC as the schos for Akiva Simcha Ben Fego, and Rivka Yudis Bas Yafa Chayo. NDY Art, Mount, Rivka Shlema Yonatan Edem Ben Shavu Bracha, Rivka Shlema Mordechai Ben Esther, and Rivka Hayel Daniel Zeb Ben Ayel Esther. I have 6 seconds before it's 8 minutes into the shir, so I want to say welcome back, Reb Eli. We missed him, but he's back for Chullin. Should I tell him what you told me on Shabbos, or it's not Negir?
Tell him.
He comes over to me and says, I want to be the first person to tell you that you inspired me to leave the daf. What happened? He asked me once, how much do I spend on the daf? So I said, all day long. He said, I also have to spend all day long on what I do, and that is Mishnayos for kids. And he spends many, many hours, since then, more hours, giving over Mishnayos. So I said, that's great, but it's before you start your day, chap around the daf. So here he is today, the first day of Chullin, and Chullin's a geschmack. You'll see, it's geschmack.
Can you give me a recap from everything till now?
On the side.
First secure your mask before you secure the
First secure your, no, but that's what he's doing. He's securing his mask. By giving over. He's doing great. By giving over Mishnayos to kids, and hundreds of kids, thousands of kids, Be'ezer Hashem. All right. We also have here Rebeni Kruskal, the famous Rebeni Kruskal's father is right over there in the corner, Shalom Aleichem, and that is your grandson. What's your name?
Oh, Kruskal.
Oh, you're Kruskal.
Yeah.
Wow, we know your uncle, the famous Moyle over here. Rav Saif. Well, from Nu? That's right, hundreds of milas, hundreds, all over the world. Thousands maybe. In Hollywood? Is he there? I don't even know.
When I left, before Morocco.
Which, how long was ago? How long ago?
Before Morocco.
Oh, before Morocco. And this is your uncle? Shalom Aleichem, what's your name?
Lady.
Also Saif?
Yes,
Saif. All right, Givaldik. Givaldik. Shalom Aleichem, welcome. Who else? Anybody else? Okay. Givaldik. Rabbi Yisai, here we go. We're on Daf Lamed Aleph. 30 daf into Chullin. Here's the Shaila. person is chayev to go to the mikvah, d'oraisa even. Say a woman has to go to the mikvah. She's walking on a bridge, she slips and falls into the water. The entire way down, she's screaming, she thinks she's going to die. And as soon as she hits the water, she's trying to save her life. She gets out of there in one piece. Was there a tefillah here or no tefillah? She had zero kavanah, obviously, because all she was thinking about is her life. Was she toivel? Is she mutter to her husband? No, forget the chatzitza. No, it's not a problem, chatzitza. It's not a problem. Loose clothing, not a problem. We're not talking about that. We're talking about not the details. We're talking about the halacha of...
Oh, she didn't make the bracha, right?
It doesn't matter. She had zero. Of course she didn't make a bracha. She made a bracha, baruch dayanemes. She was thinking about dying. And the bracha is not... No, it just shows whether or not she had a kavanah.
She's yaitza.
She's yaitza. Hello. It's machlaikis. Doesn't matter, you have to say it. All right. Zok the Heilige Gemara, we're holding 7 lines down from the top. Don't get used to this. We're holding where we have to be holding, not only that, a little bit more. There was a video that I needed to show last night. It was the best video of the night, and it was all the way at the end of the sugya. So we had to get here.
The video at the end doesn't show the covering of the offer after.
Right. No, because that's not a problem. That, of course, he's going to do. The problem in the Gemara was the offer before. And we had to come on to that. He had a kavana to be miyached, so that was a special arrow for that. It's just a yai. Says the Gemara. Says the Mishnah, if a person was shechting 2 animals or 1 animal, let's say 1 animal, knocks off the head. So Gemara says, well, it depends how long the knife was. We learned in the Mishnah that the knife was like this. If it's double the size of the neck, then it's okay. So Amar Reb Zera, we're going to prove that it means double the size of the neck. Amar Reb Zera, meloi tzavar v'chutz l'tzavar. What the Mishnah means is the size of the neck plus, I don't know exactly what he means. And the Gemara is going to say, what does chutz l'tzavar mean? Does it mean a little bit? Ibaylu. Meloi tzavar v'chutz l'tzavar, kimeloi tzavar, like in this picture. Does it mean 2 widths of a neck? Dahava lehu trei tzavarin, so totally you have 2. Or it means, take a look at this slide, how it happens. Boom. It just means a little bit more than the knife. Toshma. Let's go to the next case. Over there, it's a little bit more enforced. It says, if a person was shechting 2 animals at the same time and knocked off both of their heads, if the knife has 1 width of a neck, it's kosher. Ask the Gemara the obvious question. How is it possible that if you're shechting 1 animal, you need a little bit more than a neck? And if you're shechting 2 animals, all you need is 1 neck? It's impossible. So what does 1 neck mean? 1 neck means 1 neck more than what you're shechting. So if you have 2 animals, you need 1 neck in addition to the 2 necks of the width of the animal. A total of how many necks? 3. 2 necks of the animal, 1 extra neck width. That's how long your knife has to be. And that's the end of the sugya. If it means when you're shechting 2 animals, all you need is a knife that's as wide as 1 neck. It's impossible. If you're shechting 1 animal, Reb Zera just said you need 1 neck plus a little bit more. So when you're shechting 2 animals, all you need is 1 neck. So when the Mishnah says 1 neck, it means whatever width. If you're shechting 16 animals, you need a knife that's 16 animals wide plus 1 neck. It means 1 neck in addition to the 2 that you're shechting. So therefore also, when Reb Zera says on 1 animal, it means not this picture right over here, but this picture over here. Shmamina. End of the sugya. So this is a typical Chullin sugya that we had for the last 30 daf. Easy stuff, and it's going to continue to be easy.
Main.
You say Amen. Some people like tough. Some people like it hard. Omer Rabbi Menashe. Says the Gemara, when do you need a knife that's this long, like in this picture? You need a knife like this when it's one motion. You're only going forward, you're only going backward. So to make sure that you did a good shechita, you need a knife that has an extra width to it. But, says the Mishnah, if you're going to go back and forth, you could even use a small razor blade. This big. And if it takes you 20 times back and forth until you shecht, okay. In Hilchas Shechita, that's okay. In Hilchas Tzar Belachayim, you might be a little bit of a Russia, but that's what it is. It's talking about specifically, this is according to the Sichas Chullin. I drew a completely different picture, but the Sichas Chullin argues with me, so I'm going to go with the Sichas Chullin. I think Rabbi David knows better than I do. Karnayim means a decorative piece that comes out of a knife, and let's say this is, just for argument's sake, this is this part is a razor, so he's shechting like this. He's going. This is the neck of the animal, so he's going back and forth, like that. Now the problem is that it has these little horns that come out, decorative horns, and it might slip and it might poke the simanim. Not good. Mendy, what are you looking at? I see like you're very concerned over here about this knife. The people that sit next to me. Another question. What if I use a needle? Now obviously, if I'm going to poke the animal with a needle a bunch of times and make small holes. What is that? What is that? Drisa. I'm pushing downwards. You need a cut with a nail, with the. So he's going to take this. This is like the worst of the worst. I don't even know the mitzias of it. You take a needle and you start going back and forth with it. You start scraping the surface until you get in, and then once you get in, then you cut. I mean, this is what you have. You're on an island, and you have a needle. You pack yourself a needle and some thread, and you don't have a knife. You know, like sometimes you're on an island, it happens all the time, and you don't have a can opener. So what do you do? So you gotta, I don't know, you find something. It might take a few hours, and then finally open up your tuna can. It happens. Just happened to me yesterday. Whatever, okay. Machtamai. Omerlei, machtam mivza baza. No good. Yeah, you're going back and forth, but at one of those back and forths, you're going to poke the guy. And once you poke him, that's drisa, you're over. No good.
It says it's a kira.
Korea.
Like ripping, tearing.
That's not drisa.
Okay, you're ripping. Fine, better. Mivza baza, you're ripping. Says the Gemara, Machta du ushkefei mai. So you have a tanner's needle. What was this for? I don't remember. Okay, here, over here, maybe you might rip. Okay.
That's the knife the other way, like you had it.
Yeah. So this guy right over here, you don't really see, it's not 100, it could have been a better picture, but the point is that the top part of the needle is a little flatter than a regular needle, A. B, the tip is flat. B, the sides are very, very sharp. This is what the people that work with leather, they use such a needle.
It's like a scalpel, no?
It's very thin. It's the size of a needle. It's a little bit wider than a regular needle. It's a giant needle. The kids are a giant needle with very sharp edges. Omerlei Tanina, I don't understand the problem. Afilu kol shuhu. If you look in the Mishnah on Amud Beis, I should have had it on the screen. It says Avalim hoylech vehevi. The last words in the Mishnah. If you're doing a back and forward motion like a knife, afilu kol shuhu. Even a knife that's the smallest of the small. And then the Mishnah continues afilu beizmil kshera. Even a razor blade. So in all, a razor blade, whatever you want to call it. So says Gemara, what does kol shu mean? It's telling us a type of kli, a type of a cutting instrument. My love, machta dushkefei. A mashut would l'chayr mean the smallest knife that I know of, which is a needle that they work with leather. Loi ismel. No, it's referring to a razor blade. Ismail behedik tanila. But that's the next words. Afilu be'Ismail. So what does kolshu mean? It can't mean the same thing. Says the Gemara, it does mean the same thing. Purushiko mefarish. My kolshu, the Mishnah is saying, you can use a knife that's kolshu, even a very, very small knife. But what's the smallest of the small? Ismail. That has to be the width of a razor blade. And it makes a lot of sense logically. If you tell me something that's 1 millimeter wide is kosher, it wouldn't make sense for the Mishnah to say 1 millimeter is kosher, and also you should know a 20 millimeter razor blade is also kosher. Of course, a razor blade is kosher. Says Gemara, no. On that, if that's your whole raya, that's not a good raya. Why? Don't forget about this guy. This one we already established is possible. So maybe all razor blades in the world should be possible because they used to have these decorative pieces to the razor blades and they could be dangerous for shechita. So maybe I should say maybe a needle is good, but a razor blade is not good because some razor blades have horns. Now I'm going to ask you a trick question. Don't look in the Mishnah, because if you do, you're going to make a little bit of a mistake. What if I have a knife on a table? This knife is sitting on the edge, and there's vibrations going on, like, a lot of houses have vibration. And I'm just waiting there for it to fall, and I know that when it falls, it's going to fall so perfectly on my chicken's head, which I tied down right below the table, and it's going to cut my chicken. I want it to happen. Is that a good shechita or not a good shechita? I'm watching it. I'm looking at the knife. He says it's good. He says no good. What? It's good, Ari. Why is it good?
If you throw a stone.
Oh, so maybe I can be mechalik because you threw it. What? So that's something else. Now, now you're talking about something the opposite. It was your throw with zero kavana. Over here I have full kavana, zero koyach. It's a different case, completely different case. So says the Mishnah, nafla sakin, nafla, it fell, sakin b'shachata. Over here, it did not have any koyach of a person, no koyach gavra. It didn't come from the power of a human. It just fell. Even though it made a beautiful slice in the neck, cut both of the simanim, the kana and the veshet, psula. It's not a good shechita. Shenemar v'zavachta v'achalta. You have to shecht and then you eat. Mashat hazivech at ha'oichel.
So what if you bumped it by mistake and that's how it fell?
Oh, so now the Gemara goes into that. Taima den afla. That's because it fell. Hahi pila. Who? Ksheira. What does it pila mean? A pila would mean you didn't throw it. You let go of it. So this is my knife. I let go of it. But that leaving go, me opening up my fingers, that is a koyach gavra. I used human force, and that human force of me releasing it, let it go down and cut.
That's the example, because I saw some focus was showing on that. I think it's if you push it.
Why? I didn't see a machlokes showing that.
Dropped out of your hand.
Yeah. Why delay? Why is it delay? Is it your power, not your power? Okay, but here's the point. The big point is that's today's sugya. The problem is over here that he didn't intend to shecht. When you l'chayra, well, from here it's mashma that you don't have to have intent when you shecht. As long as it was a human power, it came from your power. You threw it, whatever it is. Even if you didn't have kavana to shecht, it's a good shechita. Mantana deloy be'inan kavana l'shechita. Who is this Tana that says that you don't have to have any intent? Omar Rabba Rebbe Nassan. This is the famous Rebbe Nassan, which we had 20 days ago. The Tani is Shai Zeir that when we were in Morocco, we had him. So that was 20 days. We were in Morocco 20 days ago. That's the long. The Tani is Shai Zeir the Min Chaviraya. So Rashi says you could read his name two ways. You could read his name, the Tani Ishaya. His name is Ishaya. Ze'ira de min chavraya. He's the youngest of the whole chabura, or maybe his name is the Tani Shai Ze'ira. That was his name. De min chavraya. He's part of the chabura. So he wasn't the youngest in the group. His name is the young, Ishaya the young. It wasn't the youngest in the group. He might have been the oldest of the group. Zorak Saglan Atzav Kaisel. Let's see the video. Remind the Olam, because a lot of people might have not seen this because we were away. It sounds like Kei Tzamira, Kei Tzamira. They got the whole vibe of that shook without being there. You have all these weird people doing weird stuff there, throwing knives, snakes, monkeys. This is a typical Lakewood. So his kavanah was hit the bullseye, and by mistake, that's a real song that we sang, and a real Erev Tov Rabbi sang. Da also. So. Zorak Sakin Lanatza because he threw a knife because he wanted to get it into the wall. And it went and it checked in an animal by mistake. Rabbi Nosson Machshir. Rabbi Nosson says you don't have to have intent for shchita. You do not have to have kavanah by shchita. V'chacham and poislim. Chacham say you have to have intent by shchita. And Rava continues to say, you should know that Allah is like Rabbi Nosson, that what? That by shchita, you don't need to have intent to shech. You have to have intent to throw, to move the knife. That's it. Ask the Gemara. Why does Rava have to say that the Allah is like Rabbi Nosson? He already said it before. Where? On Daf Beis. The first Mishnah of Chullin, you see, Rebelli, we're doing a chazar for you. Few. We did Daf Yud Beis, we went to that sugya. Now we're doing Daf Beis. That what? It says that if a cheresh shoyt of a katan, do a shchita, no good. But if you're standing there, the snan v'kulin sheshachatu, the cheresh shoyt of a katan, v'acherim roy noisan, you have an adult watching, shchita zikher, it's a good shchita. V'amrina matana loy boy kavan shchita. But the cheresh shoyt of a katan don't have intent. So who says you don't have to have intent? V'amar Rava Rabbi Nosson. The same Rava that says it's the same Rabbi Nosson that says you don't have the intent. So why does he repeat his same halacha 30 days later? Says over there at least the cheresh, the shaita is b'mechaven. I'm just thinking about that story that I told my friends. I don't know if it's appropriate for shir. Okay, it is. As you know, my group.
No, usually it's not.
Correct. I'm going to say it. I'm going to tone it down. I'll tone it down. Everything I'm saying, multiply by 10 or 200. My grandchildren, two of them, they go to non-Jewish school in Utah because my kids are doing kiruv in Utah. So I was on Zoom with them, and my grandchildren said some words that typical Jews in Jewish schools will not say, especially to their Zaidi. So I said, listen, you don't even know the good words. Let me tell you a really good word. But you have to promise me you're never going to use it. So he said, okay, promise. So the kid, the one grandchild is 6, the other one is 4. And they're using this Lashonas, Shem Yirachem. So I said, I have a word for you. Yeah. But you promise you're never going to use it? Yeah, okay. Shaita. This is the worst, this is the biggest curse word you could ever say. Shaita. And then they start saying, Shaita. I said, don't say it. Shaita, you're a Shaita. Zaidi, Shaita. And they go to the cleaning lady, you Shaita, you. And my daughter said the whole day, that's all they were saying. So I felt good. I switched it out. Stuck it in there. Shoita. What?
Good, you said shorta, not something else.
Yeah. I didn't go to one of those schools. I don't know what you're talking about. I only went to Nachas. Vama. For whatever reason, my daughter really enjoyed the whole thing. She was on the floor, she's laughing. I was like, "What are you?" Okay, whatever. The people, the Utah, the Avir, the Utah. Oh, Shoita, it says over here. Shoita v'katan. That's Makashur. I said Shoita, triggered this Maisa that just happened literally 3 days ago. Should have not said the story. It's one of those. Okay. If you're not going to make a mocha, I'm going to have to make a mocha. Zog the Gemara. V'amar over tzricha. Diash min hasam shnun kav chav neshum chet geboilam. The shaita. He had a kavanah to cut. He doesn't know anything about shchita, but he had kavanah. He wanted to make an incision in an animal. But over here, that he dropped the knife. He didn't have kavanah to cut. Maybe it shouldn't be a good shchita. So it is a good shchita because it had the power of a human being. But if I would just say the case over here that he dropped the knife, at least it came from a person that has das. Over there we're talking about a shaita. Maybe it shouldn't be considered movement at all. You need the power of a bendas, not just a human being. A human that's das. Tzricha, no. In all these cases, it's a good shchita. Itmar. What? Oh, there's a whole Gemara now in Amud Beis about cutting and not cutting. At the end of the Gemara actually says that it doesn't make sense that cutting should be a thing, but the Gemara says cutting is a thing. At least a cut. It's a partial piece of the shchita. It's a part of the shchita. Rabbi said there's a murdik sugya. Itmar. Nidosh and nentz of a tavla. So I'm going to tell you the end of the sugya, according to one shita, means she had an oinus, the tvila was an oinus, meaning she had to go, she was mechuyev to go to the mikvah, and she was walking on a bridge, and she slipped off the bridge and fell into the water. So we have a machlokes. Omer Rav Yudom Rav. Rav says, Tahir lebeisa. This is a peladik thing. She's 100% mutter to her husband. In other words, there's no isser karis. This tvila, by mistake, removes karis. On the other side, on the flip side, va'asura lechol betruma. She would be usher to consume truma, which is only a lesser isser than karis. It's an isser of misa b'dei shamayim. Get the death penalty from heaven, but it's not as bad as karis, which also could chas v'shalom affect children, etc. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, no, both are the same. Afle beis loy tahara. This tvila didn't help at all. It wasn't a tvila with kavana. She certainly didn't say a bracha, meaning she didn't show intent. She didn't want to be in the water at that point, and it doesn't help her. It's not a tvila. Pella, no? Geshmak. Most people are not aware of these halachas. I don't understand what's going on here. Avain kares hutra. What? It removes kares. Isser misim ebaya. So certainly should remove the lesser isser of truma. Omar le, you're not going to believe this. Bala chulinu. A husband is a piece of chulin. The wife is also chulin, meaning we are not kodesh. We're not kachim. But true, huh?
He's chulin. He must be learning with that.
We are chulin. We are a piece of chulin, he says very willing. What are we? We're chulin. We're learning chulin now. They become chulin. Huh?
What about you, who's kadosh?
I really appreciate it. Says the Gemara, the chulin loy by kavana. When it comes to chulin, you don't have to have any intent. But when it comes to truma, it's different. You have to have intent. I'm telling you, can't get better than the sugya. Una Timran, how do you know this? This nan. Gal shenitlash uboy arboim so. Listen to this. We know you could go be toivel in the ocean. The ocean is gevaldik and mikvah. A wave that's attached to the ocean is part of the ocean. But what about a wave that detaches itself from the ocean? detaches. 40 saw of water. Has to be 40 saw. A tsunami, poof. Whatever, however it works, there's an earthquake and down, and grab the water down and pushes water up. Doesn't matter. A whole wave, at least, we're talking about a minimum of 40 saw, because less than 40 saw, there's nothing to talk about. We have 40 saw of water flying through the air. A moment ago was mamish gewalik to go in the mikvah. Now it's flying through the air. Once it's airborne, no, you can't be toivel in it in the air. But once it lands, you could. Now, first of all, any rainwater that landed, that's in a pit, that's make shavim. That's what we make all mikvahs out of. That's great. But what if it's in mid-air? It's flying through the air. One edge of it is touching the ground. The other is still in motion, coming. It wants to rest on the ground, but it's in motion. And you put a cleat. Let's say you have a vessel. You have to be toivel a vessel that's tamei, not a one that you bought in the tamei vessel. And you're standing up, so you don't want to bend down to the ground. You grab the wave in midair, which part of it is touching the ground and part of it is flying through the air. That's okay. That's called not keeping, Russian. That's called Russian. You're grabbing the head of it when the bottom of it is touching the ground. So says the Gemara, Galsha nitlash. If this wave is detached, ubayar barim saw, and has 40 saw, v'nafal ala adam ala kalim tahirim. So we're going to have to see exactly what type, where it was. But right now it's not attached to the ocean. It has the power to give tahara to a person and to vessels. My love, adam dumi the kalim. Since the human being and the kalim are mentioned together, so they're similar to what? Ma kalim l'loy mechavni, af adam nami l'loy boy kavana. You know that a kli doesn't have to have kavana, doesn't have das, doesn't have a brain. So a person also not. Real quickly, remind the Olam of the story, because it has a good musar haskell if you think about it. There was a grandmother walking with her grandchild on the shore, and all of a sudden one of these giant waves came out of nowhere. You see it all the time, people take pictures and all of a sudden they get knocked off. So this giant wave comes, knocks the grandmother, grabs the child and rips him into the ocean. So she starts crying to the Rebbeinu Shalom. She says, Rebbeinu Shalom, I never really asked you for anything my entire life. I'm asking you this one time. Give me back my grandchild. Give me back. Mama's crying. 9 seconds later, another wave comes and pushes her grandson right out. And she grabs him and she says to the Rebbeinu Shalom, but where's his hat? The Musar Haskell is that sometimes we get a beautiful thing, but we're looking at the chesaron shabbat. You get a hole, you get your grandchild back, and all you care, that's what you're complaining about, is the hat. It chopped me. Rav Nachman said the story, it happened to me. I fell into a sewer, in Shar Yoshev bungalow when I was 3 or 4 years old, and I almost died. And when my father pulled me out, the first thing I said is, Abba, where's my yarmulke? No akaris atayv. Even when I was a young kid, no akaris atayv.
Opposite. That was the right thing to say. All you cared about was the yarmulke. Amazing. That was beautiful.
Okay, that's why you could write a book. That's why you have the.
That's right. That's right.
You could tell. He was kodesh v'rechem. Kodesh. No, we don't want a book like that. Okay. Ma kelim de. Ask the Gemara, who told you there's no kavana here? Memai, Dilma b'yoyshev u'mitzapa askinon. Amari dikamayisa. I had a ashgacha pratas yesterday on the way to shir. I just put the two things. Yoyshev u'mitzapa. Ramayach Biderman says that one of his people that he's very close to went to the cave of the Bnei Yisachar. He's sitting there, and he sees a chassid davening and crying. He says, I recognize this guy. Wait a minute. I know exactly who this guy is. He waits for the guy to finish. He goes over to him afterwards and he says, aren't you so-and-so? He says, yeah. He says, what happened? I recognize you. You went off the derech. You were gone for like 10 years. He says, you're not going to believe it. I was schmoozing with some guy. And this guy tells me, do you know that since you left your parents' house 10 years ago, they not even once, did they lock the front door of the house. they're expecting you to come back. And when you come back, they don't want the door to be locked. They want you to be able to walk in and realize that you're welcome over here. He says, yeah, that's how much. And that started the process of him coming back. Yoishiv u'mitzapeh. The Tanakh of Eliyahu says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Yoishiv u'mitzapeh. He's waiting for us more than a father waits for his child. Maybe this guy is just waiting there and waiting for a wave to come, so he does have kavanah. V'kelim dumi da'adam. Daf lamed aleph amud beis. Ma'adam debinon kavanah. Af kelim na'ami dekam mechaven lu'adam. Just like when a person he could be mechaven, so too by kelim, the human being is mechaven for the kli. Sponsors, video sponsors. Turning of the Daf, Adar Global Specialist in International Financial Services by Chaim Milrad, Linish Mas Imi Mirosi, Frada Etlo Bas Yitzchak Aleh Shalom. We have a Murdik video here. Here we go.
So I told him I'm not spending another shekel, and he folded and sold me the cup. Dirt cheap. Awesome, now I'm gonna go toivel it. You have to pay for the mikveh? I am not spending another shekel. I'll be a little late. I just take the cup to Tvila in the sea.
Okay, fine.
Excuse me, sir, beach entry is 20 shekels. I'm not spending another shekel. I'll just wait here.
Look at his beard.
Yes! I knew it would work! Tevila in a wave is kosher, and it's free! No!
The video go. If he's waiting there and it's a wave, so what's the chiddush? Oh. Is when there's a big storm, there's a lot of rain, and you sit, let's say, on the bottom of this street over here called Ayalon, and all this rainwater comes down, 40 saw of it, and you sit on the bottom and you sit there in your bathing suit and you say, oh, that's no good. Why is that no good? Because it's rainwater that's moving. Rainwater can't move. Rainwater has to be stationary. So in Mela, I would say that moving sea waters should have a gzeira, that people will confuse the two. Commercial and it works. Inami, ligzar Russian otu kipin. Here we go. Check this out. So this is a detached wave of 40 saw. And this is no good for tefillah. So maybe I should be geyser this kind of thing. I've never seen one of these yet. But I should say that when you have a kippin, it looks like a yarmulke, like a kippah, like a detached, a what? Canopy, okay, canopy of water. You have a detached thing of water. You should say that it's also to use one that's attached to the ground, because you might come to say that a detached one is okay. No. So Gal Shenitlash is attached to the ground. You have to say it's attached to the ground, because it's not attached to the ground, it's keeping. So Gal Shenitlash that's attached to the ground, but it's still in movement, is kosher, but I would think that it's not kosher because of Otu, this one that's completely detached.
Gal Shenitlash is Russian?
I would think that Gal Shenitlash is Russian. That's what I think. Yeah. Komashmal and the leg is Rinon. And how do you know that you shouldn't be toivel in a detached wave? So obviously when you read this, you see right away that the snan does not mean a Mishnah, because he would never ask, how do you know this halacha when it's a Mefurish Mishnah? The Gemara wouldn't ask it. It would say right away the snan, not a umanot timra. So that's why they say on the side that it's not a Mishnah, it's a Brisa. Madbilim berashim ve'madbilim akim, it's mefurish. That you could use a wave that's attached to the ground, but you can't use a detached wave. Shematbilim ba'aver, something that's mid-air, you can't be toivelin. So how do we know that you don't need to have any intent when it comes to chulin? Like we said before, that a husband is chulin, you don't need to have kavanah by a husband. This not. So let's just show this again for those who haven't seen it, and even those. It's a beautiful, just the words, how the words work here. The whole thing is.
Min ha'toire, fruits aren't mekabel tuma unless they were first muchshar lekabel tuma. And there are 3 t'nayim that need to be in place in order for the fruits to be muchshar lekabel tuma. The first t'nai, that they shouldn't be mechubar lakarka, because as long as the pri is mechubar, it's not mekabel tuma at all, even if water fell in it. As the pasuk says, Zera zarua asheri zareya taharhu. The second t'nai, that one of the shivas mashkin should fall on them, which are machshir them lekabel tuma. Yayin, devash, shemen, cholov, tal, dam, mayim. The third t'nai, that this should be l'rtzoin haba'alim, because if water fell on it shaloi l'rtzono, it's not mosher. As the pasuk says, voyiton, and Chazal were dorish ke'ein yitain, midas uvel rotzoin. And only after the pri is tolish min akarka and one of the shivas mashkin was put on it, b'rtzoin haba'alim, now the pri is moshel lekabel tuma. And if a dover tommy was nigain it, it becomes tommy.
Okay, so if a fruit had water touch it, and you wanted the water to touch it, or as we're going to see soon, if you want the water, even if you don't want the water to touch it, you want the water, then it's machshir lekabel tuma, and if a sheretz touches the fruit, now it can become tamei. But without any mashke touching it, and a sheretz touches the fruit is not tamei. So here we have an interesting situation. Perish naflu techa masamayim. You have fruit that fell into water. What does he do? He's trying to save the fruit. So he sticks his hand and grabs the fruit. The thing is that this person has hands that are tamei, and in order for him to eat food, it has to wash his hands. So his intent was to grab the fruit, but he didn't have intent to be toivel his hands. What's the halacha? Yodav tahiris. His hands are tar. So if we stop right here, and this is the end of the sugya, what do we have a raya now? That in order to make your hands tar, you don't have to have kavanah to put them in the mikvah. His kavanah was to grab fruit, not to be mitar his hands. That's enough. Eli, how are we doing so far?
Oh, yeah.
It's very good. No, it's gishmak moed. Upeiros einam b'chiyutan, and the fruit are not susceptible to tumah. But he had kavanah to take the fruit out of the water.
He washed his hands.
Right, to wash his hands and take the fruit out, but to take the fruit out. He wanted to wash his hands and take I don't know, Rashi sticks in Yodav tahiris, his hands are tar. Why? Obviously, even without kavanah, his hands are tar. Or peiros b'chiyutan. Now that he wanted to wash his hands, now he wants the water. And once he wants the water, that's enough to give the fruit the hechsher lekabel tumah. I'll go upon him. What? He doesn't need the water on the fruit. He wants the water. He wants the water, and that's enough. That's a chiddush. I call upon him. If you go to the first line, you see that you put your hands in the water, and you don't want to be mitar them. You want to grab something. That's enough to make them tar. So too, the woman who fell into the mikvah becomes tar without kavanah. Eisvi Rav Nachman. So again, Rav says you don't have to have kavanah. So he says, Tav al Chullin, v'huchzak l'chulin. This is incredible. Listen to this. Listen to this. Rabbi, so you're not going to believe this. Another unbelievable halacha today. If a person goes into the mikvah, and he says, I'm going into the mikvah to eat meiser sheni. I want to be able to eat meiser sheni. But that's it. What's a level above meiser sheni? Truma. What's a level above truma? Kachim. What's the level above Kachim? Paraduma. It depends on the level. It depends on your mind. I could go into the mikvah and be completely tar for one thing and not another thing. I'm going into the mikvah just for chulin. I didn't go into the mikvah for truma. So that's it. No good. I'm going to the mikvah truma. I didn't think about the next level above that, which is kachim. So I'm not tar for kachim. Incredible. It says tava lechulin, a person who's makbetit chulin al taras hakodesh. He goes into the mikvah. V'huchzak lechulin. Huchzak over here means he had kavana only for chulin. Also l'maiser. That kavana limits him to the lower level of tahara. He's only tar for something low level of chulin, but not for the next level, which is meiser sheni. So it says mefurish huchzak in huchzak loy that he had kavana for chulin. So over here you see you have to have kavana for chulin. A second ago you told me that I could put my hands in a mikvah and they become tar without kavana. Over here it says that you had to have kavana for chulin. No, that's not the pshat. Okay, avabishu huchzak lechulin. He is already good for chulin, also l'maiser. If a person is tar for chulin, it's not good. Not that you have to have kavanah for chulin. You don't have to have kavanah for chulin. But if he's already good for chulin, it's not good enough for maiser. Which is tremendous. If I would have asked you this question beforehand, most of you would have said, no, a guy went to the mikvah and he's tar for one thing, he's tar for everything. What's the difference? No. He only removed one layer of tumah. The rest is, he's still tummy for those things. Eisvei. Tov avaloy huchzak. If a person did tefillah but he didn't have any kavana, kilu loy taval. It's as if he didn't go to the mikveh at all. So you see that you have to have kavana. My love kilu loy tava klal. L'chayr means it's as if he didn't go to the mikveh at all. Loy kilu taval meiser. He went to the mikveh, and the first level of chulin, that's automatic without any intent. What you need to have intent is meiser, truma, kachim, paraduma. Those things you have to have intent. Chulin you don't have to have intent. So Mela, it's kilu, you didn't go to the mikvah for level 2, which is meiser. Level 1, you don't have to have any intent. Even if you fall off a bridge, you're tar. It is good for chulin. Says the Gemara, Rabbi thought he's just pushing him off, saying stam, throwing things at him to get him off his back. Novak dok v'ashkach. Rabbi went and looked into it, and he found. I love this lashon. It's like. He didn't have Deutzer HaChachma. He started going through Shas and until he realized, the Sanya, this is mefurish. If a person went into the mikvah and it didn't have any kavana, he's still good for chulin. He's still tar for chulin. You don't have to have kavana for chulin. And mamish fits in with Rav. You don't have to have kavana. The woman doesn't have to have kavana for chulin. Mutal chulin v'asal l'maisa. Amalei abayla Rav Yosef. Leima tavet yuvta the Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan is the one that says that a woman has to have kavana. She can't just fall off a bridge and say, I'm tired to my husband. And over here you see mefurish that for the lowest level of chulin to be tired to a husband, it's okay without kavana. So l'chayr there's a kasha Rabbi Yochanan. Says the Gemara, you're right, it's a great kasha Rabbi Yochanan, but Rabbi Yochanan has backup. He didn't make this up. These are other Tanaim. Amalei Rabbi Yochanan, who the Amar Rabbi Yonasan ben Yosef. This is a previous Tana, and Rabbi Yochanan holds like him. The Sanya Rabbi Yonasan ben Yosef. The Chubas. This is referring to a person's clothing, that has tsaras on the clothing. So you have to wash the beged, and you have to wash it again. Matam aloy mashenis. The word shenis over there is extra. Makish l'chbayis shniyah l'chbayis rishayna. It's to tell us just that the first time you wash it, and the second time are the same. You had to have human intent. Now, what's the raya over here? The raya is that a beged, what is a beged? Is a beged kachim or chulin? Beged is chulin. This is chulin. Yet, you have to have intent when I put the beged in a mikvah. I dunk my suit in the mikvah. It's a funny thing, we're not used to it. But Beis Hashem, when the Beis Hamikdash comes, if our beged becomes tamei, if somebody eats a kosher bird and puts it in the back of his neck, he becomes metame begodim abeis abliyah. His nevela, a tummy bird, nevela bird. His suit becomes tamei. So what do you do with the suit? That's tamei. You have to put it in the mikvah. But over here it says that it has to have das. You have to have das. Where? the Twillery. He go like this. You just
Not the wool suit.
not the wool suit. Well, you're not gonna have a brayer. You're gonna have to do wool suit, and then there's gonna be special.
He's saying jalabios. I'm just gonna wear jalabios.
Nacharaya, you should be wearing jalabia. Just come to Chullin and finished. Imal alam bin das. Oh, so akopanim. What do you see from here? It says mufurish. You need das, like the first washing, the second washing also needs das. You need das with clothing. Chullin. It's a kash on Rav that says you don't need das. Imal alam bin das koyin avkan bin das koyin. Maybe the first washing had to have the intent of the koyin. Maybe the second one also. No, the second one doesn't have to have a koyin. The Rabbi Yochanan say that you have to have intent by Chullin v'Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Halacha kistam Mishnah. This is a klal that Rabbi Yochanan says that when a Mishnah doesn't bring down a name, there's a reason why Rebbe took out the name. It's not that there's no name. He knew the name. Let's say he knew it's Rebbe Kiva, but he wanted you to know that this is the way we paskin. So he figured if I put Rebbe Kiva's name in there, you're going to think, oh, it's only Rebbe Kiva, but everybody argues on him. So I'm telling you, no. This is an anonymous Mishnah. The halacha is like this, and that's it. You should know this. So it says Rabbi Yochanan, halacha kistam Mishnah. The halacha is always like an anonymous Mishnah. Ustnan, it says in an anonymous Mishnah, our Mishnah is anonymous. If a knife fell and created a shchita, even though it was a perfect shchita, psula. And we asked in the Gemara about time of the nafla, it's because it fell by itself. But if he knocked it down on purpose, sheira, it's a good shchita. And there's no kavana. And who's this Tana that says you don't have to have kavana? Omarava, Rebbe Nassani. This is the Rebbe Nassan of Morocco video. He threw a knife and it bounced off the walls, shechted an animal, kosher. But it's an anonymous Mishnah. And Rebbe Yochanan holds like the anonymous Mishnah. And it says in anonymous Mishnah, you don't have to have kavana by shchita. What's the answer? You're right. Rebbe Yochanan is going to agree that you don't have to have kavana in shchita, but you have to have kavana in other stuff. Shalom Aleichem. B'shchita, I feel Rebbe Yochanan to Yosef. That, why? It's a mefurish pasuk that by shchita you don't have to have almost mefurish. Midagal Rachmanim Esasik v'Kachim pasuk. There's a special pasuk that tells us that you have to have kavana in the Beis Hamikdash. That tells me that outside of the Beis Hamikdash you don't have to have kavana. But that's dafka by shchita. Great. Wow, it's already 8:13. Whew. Says the Gemara, so now Rabbanon make this distinction. Oh, so who's the Rabbanon? Rabbanon that argue Rebbe Nassan by the knife. They say that if you throw a knife and you didn't know that there's a cow and it shechted the cow, it's no good. Why? We have a big problem. We just said that only in the Beis Hamikdash, if you throw a knife and you don't have kavod, it's not good. But outside the Beis Hamikdash in Morocco, it is good. So says the Gemara, okay, I'll answer that. You're right, you don't have to have kavod to shecht, but at least you have to have kavod to cut, which Noam in the beginning of the year didn't like. This is where Reb Nassan beat Rabbanon, because it makes no sense. Miksid v'chatachta, does it say anywhere in the Torah to cut? V'zavachta, it says shchita. So memanav shach. If you need to have kavanah, Chacham say make the distinction between cutting and shchita. If you need to have kavanah for cutting, then you have to have kavanah for shechting. If you don't have to have. Now, let's just finish the sugya. What does it mean that she was forced to be toivel? If it means that her friend took her and forcibly threw her into the mikvah, just like when you take a kli and you put it in a mikvah, you didn't ask the kli permission. So too, if you take another human being and dunk him in a mikvah, it's a good tefillah. I want to ask you a question. What if, Rabbi said, listen to this. What if, raise your hand if you think this is good. A person falls off a bridge, and another person, a friend, is watching this and is completely composed, and instead of screaming, oi, oi, she says, I want that to be l'shem tvila.
Get new friends.
Is that a good tefillah or not? Could another person that had nothing to do with her falling, just happened to be watching, could she put a das into this? Now, we just said if a person takes another person physically and dunks them in the mikvah, that is good enough das. I could force somebody to go to the mikvah. But somebody that watches on the side, is that a good tefillah? Yes or no? Does anybody in this room say that it's okay, it's a good tefillah?
Yeah.
The Arachroinim that say it's a good tefillah. Zachan la'adam. So then you don't need another person. Okay, whatever. Fine. Void. Betruma nami achla. Listen to this. When it comes to truma, you have a shaita. Did I tell you the story about my grandchildren? Okay. This nan hachareshes v'hashoita v'hasuma v'shenitra v'daita. You have a person that's completely off the rail, off the rocker. Listen to this. When it comes to truma, you gotta have an apotropos, a woman who makes sure that everything is kosher v'yosher, that this person is right to go to the mikvah. She grabs this shaita, dunks her in the mikvah, and oichlas with truma. She could eat truma. So says the Gemara real quickly. How did it happen? Like we said the whole time, she fell off a bridge, so it was a complete oinus. And so what's the machlokes Rav and Rabbi Yochanan? Rav says that you don't have to have kavana. Rabbi Yochanan says you do. So Rav says just like by Chullin you have to have kavana, so too by nida you don't have to have kavana. Rabbi Yochanan says no, nida is different than shchita. The next pshat is, this is a little tricky. Rabbi said, don't run out yet. Rabbanan yard the lahaker. Listen to lahaker. She went into the water to cool off her feet. And then what happened? She slipped and fell. But listen to the nakuda here, Noam. This is what you said before. You had a problem with this. There's a nafkamina. Rabbanan say there's a nafkamina between lachtoich and zvicha. There's cutting and the shechting. What's cutting? Cutting is not shechting. Cutting is cutting. A shoyte cuts. A bardas shechts. So cutting is a little bit of shechting. So over here we have something similar. There's a little bit of going to the mikvah. A little bit. It's not enough to fall off a bridge, because there was zero in falling off a bridge. Over here, there's a maisa of mikvah, but what? Putting in part of your feet in there. It's like cutting. It's part of shchita. It's a little bit of shchita. So a little bit of tefillah is putting in the feet, and then you fell in for the rest. And on that there's an afkamina. Hold on, and there's an afkamina to Rav.
She wanted to go swimming.
No. That's something else. That's something else. That's a complete tefillah.
She wanted to go swimming.
That's something else. So let me just finish so we can go to Shachris. It's an afkamina between Rav and Rabbi Yochanan, and again, there's an afkamina. Just like by shchita, it's enough to have kavana for cutting and not shchita. So by tefillah also, it's enough to have kavana to go into the water a little bit and not a complete tefillah. And Rabbi Yochanan says no. Tefillah needs complete das, and it's different than shchita. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.